Hola, hey, it's Bobby from Queer Eye, and I'm going to be answering 24 questions.
Primeiro de tudo, preciso dizer que você é um amor com seus fãs brasileiros. Nem toda celebridade internacional fala em português com a gente. Como que isso aconteceu?
You know, in a number of ways. I've had a lot of Brazilian friends for years. As you know, I've done a song with my Brazilian friend, Thiago. And I'm very much a data person. I am always looking at the data from my website and my social media. And I started noticing a large amount of fans from Brazil. And for me, if Brazil is going to show me that much love, I feel I should show it in return. So I started, really thinking about how I could show my Brazilian fans that I see them and that I love them. And I felt that there's no better way than trying to speak in one's native language, especially when there's as many Brazilians as there are that follow me. I just thought it was special.
Sabia que a gente tem a maior parada LGBT do mundo em São Paulo? Quando que a Netflix vai trazer o Queer Eye para essa experiência incrível?
I have no idea. Netflix, they make all those decisions internally, and then we find out about it. So, we're not really, not that we're not a part of the decision process, but for stuff like that, we're not really a part of the decision process. I know that we would all love to, and I'm sure if Netflix can work it out, they would love to have us there as well.
Do que você aprendeu de português até agora, alguma palavra favorita?
I haven't learned a ton yet. I'm still on the basics, but tudo bem, I think it's great. I also love that it means both how are you and I'm great. It's a question and an answer. It's very easy. So that's my favorite thus far. I'm only through level 5 on Duolingo, so I'm still learning basics. I'm too reluctant to try to put a sentence together yet.
E você até já cantou uma música, né, com um cantor brasileiro? Como que isso rolou?
He's been a good friend of mine for quite a few years, and he knows that I love to sing, and that's always been a passion of mine, so he just randomly asked me about a year and a half ago if I wanted to record a song with him. We've actually decided now to do more songs, and I'm going to do some in Portuguese as well.
E ainda falando sobre música brasileira, temos uma cena drag musical incrível aqui. Você já ouviu alguma coisa?
I've been getting into Pabllo Vittar lately. So many fans have been saying, "Oh, you should look her up." And her music's great, her look is great. But yeah, as of recently, after speaking Portuguese a lot on social, I'm starting to get all these recommendations from Brazil, like Gretchen. I didn't know who Gretchen was before, and everyone's like, "Oh, you should learn about Gretchen." And now I love Gretchen, and we follow each other and talk on Twitter now. Pabllo Vittar is the one that I've been looking at. I think there's also one, Gloria. She's great too.
Li um artigo contando que você já morou na rua, é verdade? Como que você chegou nessa situação e como que superou ela?
I ended up in that situation because I left home at 15 years old. It wasn't the best situation at home, and I also knew I wouldn't be able to come out at home. And I was kind of at that point in my life where I either left home and came out, or if I stayed home, I don't know. It was kind of one of those nights where you get in a fight with your parents, and I don't know if this is a phrase in Brazil, but a lot of times parents will say, "You know what? If you don't like it, there's the door. If you don't like our rules, leave." And I was like, ciao. And I left and never went back if I would have continued living. So it was kind of a live or die situation of I need to get out because I need to be able to come out and be who I am. And it was hard, at 15, not being able to find jobs and, being underage. And so I ended up on the streets and living in my car sometimes. But at the end of the day, I always hate to say oh, I just worked hard and everything worked out, because, a lot of people work hard, and it doesn't always work out. But, I just learned to always believe in myself and never take no for an answer, and keep pushing and not to accept the situation I was in, and to always know that I could do better and to strive for that.
E como é sua relação com a família hoje?
I'm actually very close with my parents now. It took them quite a few years to open their minds and accept me being gay and, my husband, and kind of retrain their minds, having been brainwashed by religion. But now, my parents love my husband, and they text Dewey, and my dad, who's this 80-year-old cowboy, loves my husband and is friends with my husband. And
Seu drama com religião é algo que a gente nota assistindo os episódios do Queer Eye. Chorei em alguns, inclusive. Depois da sua experiência na série, sua opinião mudou?
I've healed a little bit, you know, from the traumatic situations and from the trauma that's inflicted on children in religion, especially LGBTQ youth in religion. Have my views on religion changed? No. I still honestly think it's not a good thing.
Muitos LGBTs se identificam com esse tipo de situação que você viveu. Que dica você daria para pessoas LGBTs que passam por isso agora?
Just realize that this time in your life is such a small amount of your life overall. You know, people often in middle school and high school, if they're not popular, it's devastating to them. And they're like, oh, you know, this is the worst time of my life. But just remember, it's just a few years of, you know, decades and decades of your lifetime. And also remember, like, those kids that are super popular in school, those are probably going to be the ones that are going to grow up to be losers. Like, high school was the height of their lives. Like, that was when they were their coolest. Most gay people, we get cooler as we get older. You know, we're the unique ones. We're the ones that are creative. And in the end, the world is drawn to us because of our uniqueness. So, you know, for the kids at home in religious situations, realize that it's a small amount and it might get better. You know, like with my parents, it took years, but my parents are now really close to me. They're some of my best friends and they don't have the same views that they used to because they've realized those are wrong. And even if your parents don't ever come around, sadly, know that you will find family, you will find chosen family, you will find people that love you and accept you for who you are. And if your parents don't, fuck them. It's their loss.
Se você não fosse um Queer Eye e pudesse ser parte de um outro grupo famoso da história, qual desses três escolheria? Friends, Spice Girls ou Beatles?
Oh, Spice Girls. Definitely Spice Girls. I think Ginger. I think. It's been a long time since I've seen Spice World. Like, it's probably been 20 years since I've seen Spice World. Do you know it's not on any streaming services? In America, it's not. Like, it's not on Netflix. It's not on Hulu or Prime. Like, it's only like on DVD, and I don't even have a DVD player, so it's been a long time. But I think Ginger, or maybe Scary.
Você tem uma drag de RuPaul favorita?
Yeah, Nina West.
E se você pudesse convidar qualquer pessoa do mundo para ser um sexto Queer Eye por um dia, quem seria?
Maisa.
O quê?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm saying her name right? Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so because I'll look for who's this person.
She's a famous Brazilian girl.
Meu querido, eu sou cantora.
Oh, Maisa.
Maisa.
Oh, okay,
Maisa. See,
okay.
yeah, my
she's
English,
amazing.
my pronunciation is horrible. Her and I have been talking on social a lot. She's so sweet. She's so lovely. If we were to ever come to Brazil, I think she would make the perfect sixth member because she just her whole personality seems so sweet and kind, and she's so talented. So yeah, her.
No Queer Eye você tem o desafio de transformar a casa das pessoas em poucos dias. Qual episódio foi o mais difícil, que você chegou a pensar que nem daria conta por pouco tempo?
I would say the hardest one was Wesley, simply because it was a whole remodel, and it wasn't just about making it pretty, it was about making it more accessible and functional for his lifestyle. That one, though, I wasn't worried about making it. Like, I actually had 2 weeks to do that one. There's been many other ones that weren't that hard, but due to like storms or shipments not showing up, like we thought we weren't going to make it. But the hardest one was probably Wesley's, just because all that went into it.
Eu choro em quase todo o episódio do Queer Eye. Qual que te deixou mais orgulhoso e emocionado?
You know, the ones that I would say I'm most proud of would probably be like the Pastor Noah and the Mama Tammy and the Bobby Camp episode. Just because although they were the hardest for me because it was touching on religion and it wasn't something I ever really wanted to talk about on a global platform, I think it's had the most effect on preventing the same type of hate being preached to kids in churches moving forward. You know, I've had so many ministers reach out to me and say that watching those episodes has completely changed the way that they think of the LGBTQ community, and they will no longer preach hate in their churches a friend of mine texted me on Sunday and she's like, you'll never guess. She's like, I went to church today and the preacher was talking about you in his sermon at church and how everyone should watch the Pastor Noah episode. And like, this isn't church, you know? So those episodes I think I'm the most proud of because they have had the most change socially in the areas that caused me the most pain as a child.
Estar na TV sendo abertamente gay faz de você uma grande inspiração para a nova geração de LGBTs. Quem te inspirava quando você era jovem e estava no armário? Tinha bem menos LGBT famoso fora do armário na época, né?
I really had no one. I grew up very religious, obviously. I wasn't really allowed to watch TV, you know, outside of a few shows. I wasn't allowed to listen to, you know, secular music or worldly music that wasn't Christian. So there wasn't really anyone. There were a few people like Oprah, for example. Like Oprah I was allowed to watch. And Oprah had gay people on her show. You know, she had RuPaul and Nate Berkus, and she always spoke to gay people with respect and love and just like any other person on her show. And so that was the first time I really saw somebody on as a celebrity like she was at least supporting the gay community. You know, I didn't really have any gay people that I looked up to because there weren't any. You know, as I got older and I discovered like Elton John, you know, he was definitely an inspiration. Cher, although she's not gay, she was always been a huge supporter of the LGBT community. So yeah, I think growing up, it was more people that were just allies that I was able to find love and acceptance in. You know, so I'm very glad that these days, you know, younger youth have gay role models and LGBTQ role models to look up to and just show them that it does get better. It will be okay. You know, even if you're in a horrible, religious, bigoted place, the whole world is not like that. And you can find your tribe, you can find your people that love you. You know, and I would say my first real gay role models on television were probably the original Fab Five. You know, because up until then, there weren't really any gay men on television. You know, there was Will and Grace, but Sean Hayes wasn't out yet. He was still in the closet, and Will, I forget his real first name, but he's straight. You know, so there weren't any real gay people. Ellen had come out, you know, but she, you know, being a lesbian, I didn't relate to her as much. But yeah, I would say it was probably the Fab Five because I was able for the first time to see 5 real live gay people who were successful and that made it. And they weren't just playing a character on television, but they weren't being played by a straight person. They were legit, they were real.
Confessa aí um fetiche secreto que você tem. E esse conteúdo pode ir contra as diretrizes dessa plataforma. Para não ter problema, ele vai ser postado na comunidade do Põe na Roda no Sparkle. É uma rede social, só baixar grátis, criar seu perfil e participar da comunidade do Põe na Roda por lá, onde você pode trocar ideia comigo, fãs do canal, e ter acesso a conteúdo extra sem diretrizes chatas. Ah, o link tá na descrição. E agora confessa aí um fetiche que você definitivamente não faria. E, de novo, galera, esse conteúdo você só vai poder ver na comunidade do Põe na Roda do Sparkle, beleza? Só baixar grátis, criar seu perfil e participar da comunidade do Põe na Roda por lá. Ao mesmo tempo em que direitos LGBTs evoluem pelo mundo, a gente vê também uma onda da extrema-direita conservadora, com pessoas como Trump e Bolsonaro no poder. Acha que estamos evoluindo ou regredindo?
I think we are making progress. You know, there's been so many loud voices on the other side the last 2 years. Those voices were always there. You know, they just unfortunately they think it's now socially acceptable to voice it because we have horrible leaders like Trump and Bolsonaro who spew hate. And so those people, they've always been there. They've never went away. But that group is getting smaller. It is. You know, I hope and pray it is. It's just unfortunately very loud right now.
Agora eu quero que você dê sua opinião como designer de interiores sobre a casa de celebridades brasileiras. E depois fala aí qual delas você escolheria para viver. Primeira, Caio Castro.
I don't hate it. I think that's the look maybe he's going for. It's definitely a lot.
Entendeu? Plástico, cerâmica, loucura, surreal.
I don't hate it, but it's not for me. Like, that's too much color for me.
Agora a casa da Liniker.
I actually love it. Pink is not really my color. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I love how monochromatic it is. I think it's really pretty.
Don't touch, it's art.
I love how it's all shades of pink except for like the green plants.
Agora a casa da Bruna Linzmeyer.
I don't mind it. I think it's very organic.
Tudo muito orgânico, muito natureza.
You know, I don't think it's bad at all, actually. I kind of like the natural elements of it. The thing is, like, she might have actually paid for it to be like that. That actually looks like a very expensive wall treatment. Like it's made to look old. You know, it kind of looks like an old wall in an Italian villa in Tuscany. So I kind of like it. Yeah, I think it's on purpose.
Agora a casa do Gusttavo Lima.
I'm having a hard time seeing the house. Yeah, I can't stand the house, but I'll take him.
I mean, he's really good looking, but he's a supporter of Bolsonaro, so I think I can.
Oh, then no. Yeah, I don't know who he is, so I'm only looking at his body, not his mind. His home looks like he would be a Bolsonaro supporter. It looks like, yeah, I mean, it looks like something Trump would live in too. The only thing is missing is the golf cart should be gold.
Agora Oswaldo Montenegro.
That looks like an acid trip in real life. It looks like he's on drugs. No, I don't like that at all. I think my favorite was the girl, actually the last one, the pink, and hers. This girl's here and the pink.
E por fim, manda aí uma mensagem para os seus fãs brasileiros em português. Brincadeira, vai, pode ser em inglês.
Te amo. Yeah, I just thank you guys so much for loving me and following me and being a fan, and you know, for accepting me in the Fab Five, and for, you know, loving what we're doing, and for spreading our message of love and acceptance and equality. You know, it's so important to keep sharing love, because the more we share love and acceptance, hopefully the more it spreads. And the more we spread hate, the more that will spread. You know, it's been very proven recently by both of our leaders that when people spread hate, it catches on and it spreads. So we need to counteract that by spreading love. So, jam.